Hello guys, this video is about the analysis of yesterday's prelims and yesterday's UPSC prelims examination. In fact, emotionally a shock to the entire UPSC community, and some students came out numb, some students came out very much destroyed and devastated, and some were angry, and some felt like years of preparation have collapsed in just a matter of 2 hours. And honestly, after going through the paper, after analyzing it, after looking at multiple perspectives, even after observing students' reactions, my own students, my mentees, those who are freshers, those who are experienced, and those who cracked exam previous years, right? And then at different levels of preparation, one thing has become absolutely clear for me that UPSC Prelims 2026 is not just difficult, it was a structural shift, and there is a message that UPSC want to convey to the aspirants, and that message also you have to decode and you have to align your preparation for next prelims according to that, right? If your mindset is 2025 and preparing for now 2026 or 27, that's not going to work out. So we'll be discussing about this. There is a serious structural shift in the nature of examination itself, and in this video I do not want to discuss any superficial paper discussion. I want to discuss what exactly changed, what the message UPSC want to convey, and why students felt so disturbed, especially the first timers, and what UPSC is trying to test now in the prelims, and how the future aspirants now must have to completely rethink your preparation, right? See, because if we fail to understand this shift properly, or the message that UPSC is telling you, if you cannot decode it, then every coming prelims will continue to feel a random exam, right? So it's very difficult to decode the pattern if you cannot understand this one. So the first reality, this was not a normal tough paper. There is a difference between a difficult paper and a disorienting paper. 2026 exam, if you see, it was both. It is difficult and it was disorienting. It is not only difficult, if it is difficult, it is difficult for everyone. It is disorienting also, right? Because students could not identify the pattern. Just like 2023 exam, many of the questions and the scoring zones, the safe area, or the predictable segment, it was very difficult to identify. So that kind of orientation. And normally when it comes to prelims, students psychologically survive in the beginning because polity give you the confidence, and geography give you the confidence, economy usually give you the confidence, and PYQ themes usually repeat. See, we have around 200 important themes and around 300 micro themes and macro themes, and once you cover that 500 including macro micro, you are done, in fact. And the static areas will basically stabilize your performance. But what happened this time? That comfort zone that usually the students who prepare for 1.5 years, comfortably and in a proper way, that comfort zone that you used to get, that's completely disappeared. And students actually kept searching for the safe questions. See, in the first round we look for that easy questions and we try to find 30-35 such kind of questions, but you were not getting that, and they were not finding any such question. And that is what actually created panic in the during the exam, inside the examination hall, especially among the freshers. And the biggest shock was this paper was extremely lengthy. We have seen lengthy paper. Even the most difficult exam that we have seen so far in 2023 was 22 pages. But this year, if you see, it's around 25, 26 pages. And that changed everything psychologically because the paper is so lengthy. Prelims is not just, a knowledge test anymore. It is also about reading test now. It is also becoming a time pressure test, a reading endurance test, and your temperament is also tested here. So students who normally finish, the first round quickly and second round comfortably and third round calmly, but what happens today? They could not even complete the paper flow completely. It took time to understand the paper also. And many students said, 1 hour passed and I had attempted only 35 to 40 questions, or I have read only 35 to 40 questions. And that itself will tell you the amount of anxiety that it created. And that anxiety destroys your elimination quality also. One of the most important method that you have to follow when you're answering such kind of paper is elimination. And when you are under stress, when the anxiety kick in, that quality of elimination, the accuracy of your elimination will also come down. So UPSC is now testing multi-layered thinking. Earlier, there were questions, there were 4 options, and then there is one answer. Now, you have a lengthy paragraph if you see, multiple statements, hidden interpretation even within that statements, and then the conceptual linkage in the statement, and layered elimination is what you're looking for. And then also a logical framing towards the end. And in many questions, students actually thinking in the beginning, I need to identify the wrong statement. Then you will realize, no, now I need to logically interpret the relationship between the statement. Now, what does that mean? UPSC is increasingly mixing kind of comprehension, logic, interpretation, and information recall all together. It's like kind of CSAT, and CSAT is mixed with GS, and that's a massive shift. You need a comprehension skill, you need a logical reasoning skill here, you need a proper interpretation skill. It's not just about knowing a fact and reproducing or looking at the options and taking that or eliminating that. You also need information recall. Whereas in comprehension, everything is given in the paragraph, from that you need to pick only. But here, information recall is also required. So everything is coming, right? I think maybe people are trying to remove CSAT, so they are bringing that level of difficulty here, right? So again, see, one of the most important thing that I've seen is the biggest change. UPSC have shifted from static comfort that we used to enjoy to a contextual uncertainty. For so many years, that strong static preparation that guarantees safety in prelims. So if you want to clear prelims, just prepare your static areas completely, that give you the confidence, that give you the comfort zone, and then read the current affair and then update your knowledge and then go for elimination, and you will clear prelims, right? That assumption now rapidly weakening over the years. This is what you see. See, if you look at this year, what have dominated? The current affairs have dominated, and the contextual current affair have dominated. The contextual depth have dominated, and the peripheral knowledge also is very important. It's not that core knowledge. You need to also go beyond that core and the peripheral knowledge. Layered factuality dominated. Even if you look at the static questions, it actually linked to the contemporary relevance. That's why context is again important. So there is a directly visible context. At the same time, there is a hidden context also, right? And the policy evolution. So our first timers are finding it difficult over there, and institutional detail. This is something like unusual framing is what we have seen, and that make even more, worst. And why students felt the paper was absurd. This is the most important part. See, many serious students, I'm not merely saying paper is tough. If they are saying paper is tough, it's okay. They're saying paper felt absurd. Why? Because difficulty is acceptable when there is a method exist, or preparation pathway exist, or effort result any kind of correlation exist. But here, what the students feel, even I also felt the same. Despite your hard work, even after completing the standard sources, multiple revisions, even after proper current affair preparation, the paper still felt disconnected. That's what I use the term disoriented. And that psychological disconnect created that frustration in the beginning itself. And that affected the entire quality of your 2 hours, your elimination skill, your interpretation skill. So it tested multiple things, right? It's beyond knowledge. Especially if you see questions, they are demanding extremely obscure factual memory in some areas, peripheral details, not just that core idea, committee timelines from decades ago, policy evolution, exact institutional locations, highly niche historical references, or ultra specific global details. This is how the questions. So see, of course, cutoff will be less. We'll be talking about that, but the paper is difficult. Now, how will you survive this kind of? This is a message, right? This is a new UPSC mindset. Earlier, if you see, they used to ask concept, they used to ask principle, they used to ask constitutional idea, broad issue understanding. If you have, you're done. Especially if you're strong in static area, your conceptual clarity is there, you're done. But now they're increasingly asking a deeper context, right? Direct context and indirect context, a hidden context, that institutional ecosystem, peripheral dimensions. That makes it even more difficult. Macro theme is fine, but micro theme is also to an extent fine. Beyond that also, they're going, right? Historical continuity and associated factual networks also. For example, not just BIMSTEC they're asking, but associated centers, institutional structures, linked frameworks, specific locations. And they're not just asking Nobel Prize, where the person was born, what he studied, how he associated with what XYZ. It's not just about climate summit. Earlier, if you see question from environment, it's like climate summit, etc. But now the sequence, the implications, negotiation context, earlier developments. What does that mean? UPSC is now expecting informational ecosystem, not any isolated preparation. So that is why, let me tell you, the first attempters, if you don't have that emotional maturity, I think earlier we used to have 14% first attempters used to crack this exam. I think it will be 5 to 7%. And that too because of your emotional maturity, right? Because the repeaters will be getting that advantage of this policy continuity. Their long preparation will help them to get more facts, to be more calmer. In fact, repeaters were more calmer than the first attempters. That is one pattern which is very clearly visible. First attempt, those students I have seen deeply shaken. The mock test and revisions and everything that they have taken, right? Even see, but in our mock papers, we have given 26-page paper. At least 3 tests we have given that. I just wanted to give them a lengthy paper. And if from our mock test also, 70 questions came from the theme that we have asked and the areas. I'll be giving you that questions also, and I'll be doing a video. I'm just organizing what questions was that. Repeaters, if you see, they were comparatively calmer compared to that first timers who were deeply shaken yesterday. Not because repeaters found this exam easy, but they have something extra, right? That the first attempters do not have. They have the large information exposure that they're studying for 3, 4, 5, 6. Some are for 7, 8 years also, and deeper memory layers is there. So broader contextual familiarity is there and strong elimination instinct. Their elimination accuracy will be more than the first timers because of the information that they have. And they have already seen this kind of uncertainty 2023, 24. So there is a tolerance to that kind of uncertainty. And that's why UPSC is increasingly rewarding accumulated preparation depth. So the exam is now becoming cumulative. 1 year, 2 year preparation, maybe you need much more than that. So surface level preparation, this is a depth. This is a final nail in that coffin, right? This is the kind of funeral of that 1 year preparation, surface level preparation, go write it and get out of it. This is a harsh reality. So UPSC is slowly killing that shortcut preparation, superficial current affairs, formula-based elimination, 100 most important topics from culture. Now those videos are of useless. 100 most important videos from history, geography, and dependency on various tricks. Now that's not going to work out. Many students have realized elimination tricks alone collapsed. And honestly, if you see, UPSC is moving towards this actually for the years, right? Because I've seen many coaching people, they try to oversell these tricks and hacks and patterns, shortcut elimination. Nothing is going to work out that now. UPSC naturally respond to all these, what is happening in the market by increasing, ambiguity. Now, knowledge matters more than anything, the real knowledge, not the superficial familiarity or the patterns or the hacks or the tricks or the shortcut elimination. And it's becoming a more of reading examination. I always tell volume is very important when it comes to prelims. But when it comes to mains, read one book 5 times. Revision is more important. Prelims, that wide depth, more volume. 5 book 1 time. It's a kind of reading examination. Massive information is required, right? Reading volume, reading patience, reading retention, how much you can retain, how much you can interpret from what you read, how much diversity you have, right? And in fact, modern aspirants are struggling because the problem is again with social media, have trained the brain to, exact opposite. Short attention span, scrolling, that dopamine burst, fragmented focus. But now what UPSC is demanding, kind of sustained concentration, long form reading, that intellectual maturity, intellectual patience, intellectual depth, volume. And memory endurance is also very much required for interpreting and understanding. But that mismatch is now actually affecting the modern aspirants. Especially, this is a trend that I have seen post-COVID generation. Now, the static versus current affair. Many students may react emotionally. Then, should we stop static preparation? Absolutely not. We don't know what is going to happen next year. Even this year also, it's contextual linkage, conceptual foundation. If you skip it, it's another mistake that you make because you have a syllabus, you have to complete that. Static still forms the conceptual foundation, that elimination ability that you get with that understanding. The contextual interpretation, without static, the current affair become meaningless. right? The information just overload, there is of no use. But static alone is not sufficient. The new requirement is static, current. This was there before also, but the contextual depth and the peripheral awareness. So that combination is becoming very much necessary. So, see, the real crisis is not the lack of preparation or lack of information. We have all these, right? We have information. We have more UPSC content than ever before. You have free PDF, you have free YouTube lectures, current affair compilation you get from everywhere. AI tools are there, Telegram channels, test series, everywhere information is there. But what's the real crisis? That's the lack of direction. And that's where my mentees have felt that advantage yesterday. Students are drowning in the content, but the problem is what to prioritize, how you sequence it, contextual integration, long-term planning you don't have, and that intellectual mentorship is not there. Right now, that is the actual problem. So again, this paper was like an emotionally brutal paper also. Before you see, I'm comfortable with static means I definitely will clear prelims. But that was not the case yesterday, right? You are not just fighting those questions. You are fighting so much of things yesterday. You have the time pressure because of the paper is so lengthy. And initially you got panic. You are not getting into that comfort zone with your polity questions or your economic questions or your geography question. So you got panic and you started having that self-doubt also yesterday and the complete uncertainty that you felt. You don't know what about others. You felt it like it's for you, right? And that might have led to emotional collapse simultaneously with many of you. And, when normally a student continuously see, I know this topic, but still I cannot solve the question confidently. So the confidence start breaking inside the hall itself. And once that confidence collapse, accuracy collapse, your elimination skill also will go, right? And what I've seen is from yesterday's paper, UPSC is becoming deeply academic, right? This exam is becoming increasingly academic in nature, very academic. Many aspirants still romantically imagine the power, authority, status, bureaucracy, but the examination itself, the examination basically reward that deep readers, that analytical thinkers. That's the way the questions have been asked. Intellectually disciplined people and long-term learners. That's why experienced people got that advantage. That 1 year preparation, I would be very interested to see how many from my mentees also will be clearing from the first attempters. And this paper need definitely mentally stable performers, emotionally mature people. This is no longer a 1 year motivational journey. This is becoming a long intellectual endurance process now. So the three real skills that UPSC now testing. In prelims, it's reading. In mains, it's writing. In interview, it is speaking. This is how it is. So prelims, you read deeply, you read widely, you read massively. In mains, you structure your ideas, explain it clearly, prioritize your arguments, and think analytically. In interview, I think it's so reading, writing, speaking, right? So communicate precisely and stay calm, think clearly, and express relevance intelligently. And these are the three different filters in three different stages. See, one comfortable reality that we all need to accept, the amount of information required today has exploded. It's exploded. And many aspirants are still preparing with outdated assumptions, limited notes, limited sources, selective current affairs, shortcut revision modules. So there is a gap. There is a big gap that what aspirant expect and what UPSC now demand. And that is creating some kind of crisis at this point of time. So what you as an aspirant or a student have to do now, at least for next year, first of all, stop emotionally reacting to this paper. Start understanding the direction of the examination, that shift. Secondly, increase the informational depth gradually. Take time, but start a long-term process. Your mentorship will help in that. That's exactly what we do in our mentorship program. Prelims companion program, mains companion program, prelims mains companion program. You'll get that companion who will help you to build this. and then build that reading endurance and integrate static with contemporary developments, contextual understanding, and also improve your conceptual understanding instead of memorizing the isolated facts. Read more, read wide, read depth, read volume. Prepare for uncertainty psychology. That is psychologically very important. And most importantly, stop preparing superficially. That is not going to work because UPSC have clearly moved beyond that superficial preparation. So guys, this prelims 2026 was not merely a difficult paper. If it is difficult, it's okay. 2023, you said it's difficult. Yes, it is difficult. But this is a warning. There's a warning that shortcut preparation models are done, finished, collapsed. It's a final nail in the coffin. And it's a warning that elimination tricks alone will not save aspirants anymore. It's a warning that informational depth now matters enormously. And first attempters are getting trapped. It's a warning that intellectual endurance is becoming central to this exam. And most importantly, it's a warning that this exam increasingly rewards depth over noise, that emotional maturity, consistency over intensity. It's a consistent preparation you need. It's not that 1 year motivation and that preparation. And long-term intellectual seriousness over any superficial preparation. So now the real question is, not whether the paper is tough. The real question is, are we preparing at the level that this examination now demand? Just think about it and align your preparation. So if your mindset is 2015 and preparing in 2026 and 2027, you definitely have to make a structural shift, as UPSC have made a structural shift. So if you would like to join our live mentorship programs and all, get in touch with us. See you there.